See, good afternoon, all. In the last class, we have just completed the third chapter, that is one of the easiest chapters in power system analysis. And I told you the importance of that particular chapter also. So, we have completed one problem also based on that JetBus building algorithm. Now, we are going to start a new chapter, that is symmetrical fault analysis. Now, the remaining three chapters that we are going to cover in this semester is particularly fault analysis. That fault analysis, maybe just please go through the content that I am showing you here. I am going to share my screen. Okay. Now, the remaining three chapters are, the first one is symmetrical fault analysis. Second chapter, fifth chapter is unsymmetrical fault analysis. The last one is stability. Okay. The previous three chapters are the key main bone of the entire power system. Okay, power system analysis. What do you analyze? What are the various parameters that we are going to study in the power systems, and how we are going to identify and how we are going to determine those values by using some methods. Now, fault analysis is a very important analysis that is going to be solved when a fault occurs in your power system. Normally, your power system is balanced, and we people already know that the balanced power system is the system which is having equal impedances in all the phases and equal voltages, equal phase angles, and similarly equal currents also. So that's why, suppose if a balanced power system is given to you and you are asked to determine or you are asked to analyze that balanced system, means you need not do the analysis for three phases. Just it is sufficient to do the analysis for one phase, and later we can extend that analysis for three phases just by multiplying it with the three. Why? Because in the balanced power system, all impedances in all the phases are equal, but that is not in the case of unsymmetrical fault analysis. So the behavior of the power system is completely changed, okay, based on the type of faults. So basically, the fault is nothing but a disturbance, sudden disturbance that is occurred in the power system because of some unintentional failures of the devices or unintentional failures of the insulations, and similarly based on the light strokes, okay, lightning, surges, etc. So these are all the causes for having the faults in your power system. So whenever a fault is existing in your power system, obviously you have to uh, disconnect the faulty section from the healthy section. Why? Because if you are not going to disconnect the faulty section, obviously that fault currents, huge amounts of fault currents are trying to flow in your system. That amount of fault currents are directly entering into your healthy section. Obviously, that will leads to the damage of the healthy section. So that's why in our household, and that means in our home applications also, we are using phases, fuses. So what is the main purpose of fuses? Already you people are familiar with the protection devices like relays, circuit breakers, fuses, etc. Okay, I think we are all using nowadays, we are all using MCBs in our home applications also. Okay, suppose if you go to that switchboard, obviously you can able to identify that MCBs. Okay, MCBs. In place of fuses also we are using that. But what is the big advantage between of using fuses in home applications? Why? Because fuse is very less amount of cost. You are going to pay 1 rupee for a fuse. Suppose if you are replacing that fuse with a circuit breaker, obviously that may gives you, even though you are using a circuit breaker, but the cost is also very important. Cost plays an important role. So that's why uh, for small systems we are using fuses for protection. So suppose if any high voltages or high amounts of currents trying to flow in your circuit, obviously your fuse will blown. You have to replace your own fuse. Okay, you are going to replace it. But whenever we are come to the practical power systems, practical means 11 kV systems and 33 kV, okay, 720 kV. So see, those many voltage levels are having in our power system. So when we go for that higher amount of voltages, obviously whenever a fault exists means amount of fault current is also that much of amount of fault current is also very high. That if that is allowed into the healthy section means obviously that may leads to the damage. So in order to have that, first of all, we are going to use, in order to avoid that type of conditions, we are going to use protection equipment. Protection equipment means we are using relays as well as circuit breakers. So what is the purpose of relay? Whenever a fault is existing in your power system, obviously that relay will send a particular signal to the circuit breaker to open its contacts. Okay, circuit breaker itself not open its contacts. Circuit breaker receives some signals from the relay. Okay, relay, those signals are called trip signals. So tripping means circuit breaker gets open. Okay, normal condition circuit breaker may closed. So normal currents are trying to flow. But whenever the fault exists, obviously the current exceeds the nominal values. Obviously your relay will send a particular trip signals to the circuit breaker so that the circuit breaker gets open circuited. So this is what actually happens in your power systems. Okay. Now, what are the causes for having the faults? Are abnormalities. You can also call that as abnormalities. So whenever the system is subjected to that abnormalities, obviously the system behavior is also abnormal. Okay, that means abnormal means it may be comes to unbalanced state from balanced state. So whenever unbalancing is existing means obviously that may uh, damage your system also completely. That may damage your mean alternate etc. So many equipments are connected, but that is another case. Okay, but finally, what my intention is, whenever a fault exists in your system, you need to identify what is the amount of voltage that is going to be existing when a fault exists, when a particular fault, and what are the amount of currents that are trying to flow. So these are the main important parameters that you are going to uh, uh, consider. Okay. Now the amount of voltages and the amount of currents are completely depends on the type of fault that is going to exist in your power system. So how many types of faults are there? So how many types of faults are there? So you are having. So now see here. Just wait a moment. So faults can be classified into two types. So faults, the first one is symmetrical. Symmetrical. Second one is unsymmetrical. See, definitely we are going to eliminate that fault, but it may take some time. Okay. So that time is also very less time. So faults may be classified into two types. The first one is symmetrical faults and symmetrical faults. Again, symmetrical faults are classified into three-phase faults. So all the three-phase faults are comes under this symmetrical faults case. Now, as far as unsymmetrical faults are concerned, so line to ground fault, line to line fault, line to ground fault, and line to line fault. See, including ground is also there, but that is another case. So these many types of unsymmetrical faults are also existing, that we are going to discuss about this unsymmetrical fault analysis in the next chapter. And we are going to concentrate mainly on the symmetrical faults analysis. That means this is a rarely occurrence fault, and also this is the most severe fault out of these faults. So the occurrence of this type of faults are only 5%. The occurrence of this type of faults is a 70%. So 70% cases you are going to have the line to ground faults. So this is additional 10. So this is also 10. So this is also 5. So these are the occurrences. Okay. So basically we are going to discuss about the symmetrical faults. The system is said to be balanced. What happens if a symmetrical three-phase fault exists in your system or exists at the terminals of your alternator. And please keep this aside. Why? Because this is completely related to the next chapter. Now, come to our actual chapter. That is, this is the basic introduction you require before going to study about the fault analysis. I think one doubt is arising in your mind that, sir, what is the main need of having this symmetrical or whatever it may be fault analysis? Why? Because in order to design proper protective equipment, suppose if you have, if we are installing 11 by 33 kV substation, there we are going to install a circuit breaker. Now, how do you choose the rating of the circuit breaker? Based upon what? Based upon what? Suppose normally nominal current that is trying to flow in our homes, in our houses is maximum 10 amperes. So that means you need to keep a fuse of rating 10 amperes. Now what happens if a over voltage or under voltage or high short circuit currents are trying to flow? That may damages your fuse. Fuse may blow. In that case, the current amount of current is above the nominal value. So 10 amperes is the maximum current that can be withstood by any fuse. So how do you choose that one? So that depends on the load which I have been connected in our applications. So based upon the load, first of all, we need to choose the nominal. What are the nominal values? And suppose if there is a chance of getting line to ground fault, then what is the rating of the circuit breaker that we need to choose? So all these are completely depends on the fault analysis. So completely we are going to obtain the information regarding the voltage levels, current levels, okay, etc. And similarly, the ratings of the circuit breakers are also obtained from the fault analysis only. Okay, now you see here. Main purpose of having the symmetrical faults are fault analysis. Now you see here. So just now I told you the purpose of having the fault analysis in the power systems. So here again we are going to see the same points. The main purpose is to determine the voltage and currents at different points of the system during the fault conditions. So different points means different. What do you mean by different points? So at a particular bus, or at the sending end, or at the receiving end. So your power system has been completely divided into number of sections. So in each and every sections, it is also very important to have the protection equipment. Why? Because you don't know at what stage, at what point the fault is existing. You are not knowing that one. So that's why for every section we are keeping our protection equipments. Okay. Different points of the system during the fault conditions, and enables the protective schemes such as relays and circuit breakers in order to protect the system from abnormal conditions. So just now I told you that what are the abnormal conditions? Abnormal conditions are nothing but the faults that we are going to have in our power system. So that may be the line to ground fault, line to line fault, line to ground fault. That may be symmetrical or unsymmetrical faults. So these are the abnormal conditions. Okay. So these causes abnormal behavior of the power system. So in order to have the proper enabling of the protective schemes, you must require the fault analysis. Now the second one. So now again we are having transmission lines and synchronous machines. So maximum occurrence of these three phase faults in transmission lines or in three phase, I mean synchronous machines. So that's why it is also very important to study about the transients on RL circuit. Okay. Now consider the system as shown in the figure. You please draw this figure. Now here I am considering a RL circuit and switch is open, T is equal to 0. Now the voltage waveform is like this. Now for this particular circuit, the voltage waveform is this one. So V is equal to Vm into sine of omega t. Already this is known to you. You have learned these concepts in your network theory. Nothing new in it, right? Please try to understand also. Similarly, this is the total voltage that is going to be supplied to two components. The first one is resistance and the second one is inductance. So the total voltage is divided into two parts, VR plus VL. Now, I of t is also the combination of two currents. What is the first one? IT. So this is the current which is trying to flow in the transient current. So the transient is initial 2 to 3 cycles is nothing but the transient cycle, and this is a steady state current. So what about the steady state current? So after the transient state has been completed, obviously the system fault has been cleared, system enters into the steady state. So for finally the total current is equal to the combination of IT plus ISS, right? Okay. Now, you see here, what is the final, what is the transient? Can see already all these expressions are already familiar to you. All these expressions are familiar to you. So how do we obtain IT of t and ISS of t? Just by applying Laplace transforms for the given circuit, and later we are going to determine the Laplace transformable current I of s, and later we are going to apply the inverse Laplace transform of that particular I of s. Then you are going to get C into e power minus r by L into t. That is the transient current. First of all, you are going to have the transient current. Next, steady state current is also given. First, you note down these 2 points. Okay. So where Z is equal to square root of r square plus L square, and phi is also equal to tan inverse of omega L by r. See, these concepts are not new to you. These already you have learned in your network theory, transients. Again, we are considering the same concept for explaining the transients in RL circuit of the transmission line also, right? Now, finally, I of t is equal to, now you see here, so I of t is equal to the combination of transient state current and steady state current. Transient state current and a steady state current. Okay. Now, for t is equal to, at t is equal to 0, at t is equal to 0. So I of t is equal to 0, I of t is equal to 0. That means before closing of that particular switch in the previous circuit, before closing of that switch, or at t is equal to 0, I of t is equal to 0. So that is open circuit. Okay. When t is equal to 0, that means we are keeping that switch is open. I of t is equal to 0 in order to get the value of C. So what is the value of C? How can you obtain the value of C? Means obviously that is the case. Okay, that is the case. Right? So I of t is equal to 0. So substitute t is also equal to 0 in this. So e power 0 is equal to 1. So C plus Vm by Z into sine of alpha minus k. Omega t is already equal to 0. So you will get minus C is equal to minus Vm by Z. So you can substitute this in this equation. C is equal to minus Vm by Z into sine of alpha minus beta. You can substitute this in this equation. Please note down these things. Now you see here, just after substituting the value of C in this equation, you will get this one. Now I of t is equal to Vm by Z into, now you see here, Vm by Z into sine of omega t plus alpha minus pi, and Vm by Z into sine of pi minus alpha into e power minus RT by L. So this is symmetrical short circuit current or steady state current, and this is a transient state current or DC offset current. You can also call this as a DC offset current or transient state current. So transient period is approximately 2 to 3 cycles of the initial current. So the component of IT is also known as a DC. So that's same I have explained in this case also. The component IT is also known as the DC component, which is a unidirectional. Already we know that. So which is a exponentially decaying function. Why? Because you are having e power minus theta or e power minus RT by L with a constant, time constant of L by R. So angle alpha denotes the instant at the voltage cycle at which the switch is closed. So this alpha indicates that you are at what point you are going to close that switch. This is the instant at which we are closing the switch. So this DC offset current or transient state current is completely depends on, or it is directly proportional to the exponential function. So that's why this is exponentially decaying function. So this DC component is exponentially decaying function, right? Now here, when alpha is equal to pi, what happens? So here different cases are also going to be present. So here one more important definition is already given, that is doubling effect. What do you mean by doubling effect? Means If the switch is closed when alpha minus pi is equal to plus or minus pi by 2, DC offset current will be maximum, and the first peak of the resultant current will becomes twice the peak value of the normal steady state current. So what do you mean by a doubling effect? So if you select that alpha minus pi is equal to plus or minus pi by 2, obviously the DC offset current or transient state current peak value is maximum, twice than that of the normal. Suppose if the normal peak value is Vm, so whenever you are going to substitute plus or minus pi by 2, obviously in that particular case, the peak value of the transient state current is approximately 2 times that of normal value. Normal value is Vm, means obviously 2 times means 2 into V. So that's why this is also called as a doubling effect. Okay. Now you see here how the doubling effect will be. So this is the best example. So alpha minus pi is equal to this one. In both the cases, I of t, current I of t is given. Current I of t is given. So first of all, you need to choose alpha minus phi is equal to 0 or pi. So where phi is equal to tan inverse of omega L, so voltage V is equal to Vm into at t is equal to 0. Now you see here, so here you will have only Vm. So this figure explains the doubling effect. Now you see here, voltage. Okay. Please draw this. Please draw these waveforms. Okay. So that's all for today. If you have any doubts, you please raise your doubts. If you have any doubts, please raise your doubts. Okay, no doubts. So next class, I think next we will have a class on Tuesday. So in the next class, we shall start the next topic, that is the synchronous machine. So just now we have completed the transient analysis of a transmission line. So next we will have another concept, that is the synchronous machines. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you.